There is a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral, Michael Snyder reports. Highly advanced aircraft of unknown origin have been flying around in our skies for a long time, and now a whistleblower has come forward with claims that the U.S. government has actually been able to retrieve, quote, intact and partially intact vehicles, end quote. If what he is alleging turns out to be accurate, it has a potential to change everything. But this whistleblower is also warning that there has been a concerted effort by elements inside the intelligence community to keep this information away from Congress and away from the U.S. population as a whole. They don't want us to know the truth, and that should greatly alarm all of us. This week, 36-year-old David Charles Grush made headlines all over the world when he started telling news outlets what he learned as a member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and National Reconnaissance Office. David Charles Grush, a veteran and former member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and National Reconnaissance Office, has blown the whistle on this information, speaking with several news outlets about the crafts. These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it a spacecraft if you will, non-human exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed, Mr. Grush told News Nation Now. If the U.S. government really has retrieved non-human exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed, why can't we see them? Where's the evidence, in other words? What are they trying to hide? According to Grush, the recoveries that the U.S. government has made over the years include intact and partially intact vehicles. He said, we're not talking about prosaic origins or identities, Grush said, where the materials included intact and partially intact vehicles. Grush told the debrief that analysis determined that this material is of exotic origin, meaning non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin. This assessment is based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements in the radiological signatures, Grush said. If we have such vehicles, I would like to see them. I'm sure that you would too. But these days, just about everything is classified, and Grush claims that even Congress is being kept in the dark. An unclassified version of the complaint provided to us states that Grush has direct knowledge of that UAP-related classified information has been withheld and or concealed from Congress by elements, quote-unquote, of the intelligence community, quote, to purposely and intentionally thwart legitimate congressional oversight of the UAP program, end quote. All testimony Grush provided for the classified complaint was provided under oath. If I was a member of Congress, hearing this would make me steaming mad. Grush also says that a sophisticated disinformation campaign has been targeting the general population for years because they don't want us to know the truth either. Grush told News Nation that American public has been lied to for decades. He said there is a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace which is extremely unethical and immoral. And this confirms what many of us have suspected for a long time. At times, they will give us a little bit of the truth, but the intelligence community is purposely keeping most of what they have discovered away from us. Grush has submitted an official whistleblower complaint, and the Intelligence Community Inspector General has already determined that his whistleblower campaign is credible. The complaint is credible. The Intelligence Community Inspector General found Mr. Grush's complaint to be credible and urgent in July 2022, and a summary was given to the Director of National Intelligence, Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, according to Mr. Grush. And a colleague that worked very closely with Grush says that his character is beyond reproach. Carl E. Nell, a recently retired Army colonel and current aerospace executive who was at the Army's liaison, he was the Army's liaison for UAP Task Force in 2021 to 2022 and worked with Grush there, characterizes Grush as beyond reproach. But that does not mean that anything is actually going to happen. Grush could be the most credible witness in the history of the world, but that simply is not going to be enough to break the wall of secrecy. Our officials will deny some more until they are blue in the face. In fact, the Pentagon has already released a statement that is intended to get us to stop asking any more inconvenient questions. In response to the recent claims, DoD spokesman Sue Go released a statement saying, "To date, AARO, that's All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of any extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads." Of course, most of the large corporate news outlets here in the United States are either completely ignoring the story or are treating it as an oddity. Fortunately, there are a few real journalists that are taking this story very seriously. One of them is Tucker Carlson. He continued, he says, "In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the news of the millennium, but in this country it doesn't count." Carlson accused the Washington Post and New York Times of ignoring the story. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft above our cities, not one word. He said, "So if you are wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason. Nobody knows what's happening." He's right. This story is a massive bombshell. It should be front page news for both the Washington Post and New York Times, but there are certain things that they simply do not want to talk about, and that is because they are directed not to talk about them. So it's left to independent journalists such as myself to write about these things, and that is one of the reasons why I devoted an entire chapter in my latest book to this topic. Personally, I'm entirely convinced that the stage is being set for a deception of epic proportions. This really is one of the biggest stories of the century so far, and I believe that this story is going to get a whole lot weirder as the months and years go ahead. And this is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, "My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned." When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one of the ways that you can help is by sending copies as gifts to families and friends. The time is short, and I need help getting these warnings out into the hands of as many people as possible. I have also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so you don't miss any of the latest updates. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog and of the American Dream and the most important news. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other permanent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is on End of the American Dream by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.